Okay, since Twitch disconnected. So tu fui ego eres. The grave, the one in the garden. Well, come on. What are what are you waiting for? Let's go. We turned we turned back to the pressure exchange chamber, the other following close behind. This is K.
Did you forget something?
We're we're going to talk with somebody.
Who?
You really need me to spell it out? The person behind all this.
You mean Akane?
What?
I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait. Wait. Why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please.
I'm coming. I'm coming with you. I'm sorry, it wasn't me, it was Twitch. My internet's completely fine, Sammy. I'm sorry. I hope everybody's back now. I hope everybody's caught up. Ads are all gone. I hope. So. Hopefully, everybody's back. I'm really sorry about that. We know he's not. Yeah, I know he's not in a Abroa, but I needed something to separate his voice easily, and I didn't know what to do. So we're good. Everybody's good. You back? Everybody's back. All right. Y'all didn't miss too much, hopefully. So we're gonna continue. All right.
You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going to then. So am I. Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Shut up. Just shut up. Come if you want to. We don't need you to roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. With that, we headed back through the airlock. I'm sorry, guys. It wasn't me. That... I didn't know they could open it after they left.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah. The
You
grave.
mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah. Don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive. Just in the grave. Anyway, let's move. To the garden.
Is Akane really under here?
I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
No. I think we'll just do any. I think we'll. I don't think we'll have to do anything like that. You see the keyhole on the grave? If I just insert this here, I pulled the key off my ankle and fitted it into the hole. I twisted it to the right until I heard something unlock. With a quiet grinding, the grave began to shift.
What is this?
It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment pod. Oh my god.
It is, isn't it?
The glass on the cover had frosted over, making it opaque. We couldn't see who or what was in it.
Let's see what's inside.
She grabbed the hold of the lever on the side of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
What?
Treatment pod TP00. Stage 1 defrosting complete. Stage 2 will be complete in 10 minutes. Once Stage 2 is complete, the lock will automatically disengage.
Right, cold sleep.
What?
These pods can put people into cold sleep. It uses something called CAS to freeze human bodies without destroying their cells.
So, Mizakane's like an ice cube?
I think
Then
so.
we gotta wait till she melts?
Yeah.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
I remembered.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9. A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB Project.
The AB Project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories. That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension. That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan. By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life-or-death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Wait, hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes, I suppose I should explain. Very well. I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking. As I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past. Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? And this is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh?
But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform a prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were able to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, we would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust.
How does he know
This
which
history exists
timeline did
because
what?
of your presence. Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark. Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, and headed straight for the moon. During the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio. His real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons. He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is in turn controlled by a man known as Brother. It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released. If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given two tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed, at least not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9. Hence, the bombs.
Oh, so that's why the bomb's only in this time.
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed?
No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent. That explains everyone, save two, Luna and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however. I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves at a later time. Would that be all right with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma, in another timeline.
Yeah, well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete. TP00 unlocking.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What? What? Suddenly, my head was full of memories from the other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse of Floor B. In front of the white door. Kay was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I'd never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? It didn't make sense. After I'd seen him, I was injected with the tuberculin, and that was the end of that. But wait. If the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. Oh my god, you're...
Yes, I am.
Akane Kurashiki.
What a twist.
It's you, June. I mean, Akane from... But you're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
What?
Akane, long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me, and it was all I could do to not collapse right then and there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse? Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did, at least. I carried your bodies to the 3rd AB room, and then took Dio's to the 5th. After that, I went into the 1st room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and then Luna took your body to the 6th room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved? What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of Soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
What?
I've never seen him before.
Me either.
Total stranger.
Hey, come on. What are you guys saying? Right here. Same face.
Are you all right, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
Huh? What? It didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago.
I looked around frantically. A pond. I ran into and threw myself down onto my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down, damn it! I struggled to take deep breaths. Then slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. What? No, this can't be real. This face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project, is you.
What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit!
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor!
You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying!
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Climb, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor ever since he was born. He's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
But why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul, or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch. That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean this, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028.
I was wondering why we never used that.
You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down. So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes. Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36
Correct.
hours ago.
That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A, December 25th, 2028. The day all this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But once that body reaches point D, my 22-year consciousness will come back to point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single straight path, with one exception.
This line here at point E, right?
Exactly. Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes, by now you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out by jumping into 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028.
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C, and for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
Tell me one thing.
What is that?
You said the point C, the January 27th, 74, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, That's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jumping supposed to happen?
Very soon.
Soon?
Yes.
And what's going to trigger it?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
And how do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Dio's knife. Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Fi! I screamed and leapt towards them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving towards Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize that Akane's body is lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. Tu fui, ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Phi, and a new destination has been added to the flowchart. New destination. A new destination, what? Hold on. Another destination. Okay. It looks like it's not over just yet. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029. You wish to jump?
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now. But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill my entire room, until, with a click, it disappeared too. Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You. Akane?
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me!
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still!
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of a knife. You're fine.
I'm okay?
Yes, you and Phi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Me and
Yes,
Phi?
I only told you about you, but we also needed Phi to jump. Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon.
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Alice, Clover, and Clover,
Yes.
right? What about the third one? Who's in there?
Phi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Phi who had jumped from point C, though. It was Phi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are. And she still is.
Then that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes, the point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
Huh? So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those pods?
We can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project. After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room. Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from Point A will force you out, and you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
And then I change history? Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
So, what do I need to do?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to Point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical Six escaped. We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
Oh, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out what happened in that test facility. Things will be difficult, and I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger. But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait. How do you know it's so dangerous?
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So, I suppose you could say you told me, after you failed.
What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point. A woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms, and your right eye.
My arms and my right eye. What the hell? Suddenly, a low rumble shocked the building. What's that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly towards the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us, and steeled myself. I would succeed. End or beginning. That was really good. That was really, really good. Now I really want the sequel, and I want to play the other one. We might do that. We might play the other one. I doubt my mind will be as blown as this one in particular, but that was really good. Let's see about the timeline. Yeah, wait. Is there more? Is there more? No, there can't be more. Ending or beginning? No, I don't think there's more. Infirmary another time. Gosh dang, is there more?
Where?
I see you've finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Kyle.
Ah, yes. Of course. You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film or dirt. I wiped it off with my sleeve. My reflection stared back at me. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to
Kyle Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know that? Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
an excellent question, one I didn't quite know the answer to myself. I knew who Kyle Climb was. In another history, he had been called K, and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Climb? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Climb in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
And today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Phi. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past. It should have happened right after Akane attacked Phi, right?
Yes.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried you back here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Climb, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness?
Yes, but How do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Oh, right! Mr. Klein!
So the sleepyhead's finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return, then? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You aren't gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened. Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way. You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out. About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not going to change. In fact, it's because of what he did, or didn't do in the past, that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group of 100 motorcycles driving down an endless freeway. Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast. So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh? Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it. Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, alright? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Quark will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel. Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Vi, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see him again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
Well, no point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course. He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew. She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here. She's not anywhere.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we were completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand. But
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Vi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028. They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to Point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But we don't. We're stuck with Point C as our starting point.
You told us about Tenmyoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here. Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
it's still not the best situation for those of us left in the Northwest. We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
Are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time, too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have 2 Clovers and 2 Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
cat.
Oh, hey, Kyle. Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine there are a great number of things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
What? Why? She knows everything.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a Merman or a Wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Please don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep. You wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds. Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation. Of course, the sort of velocities we encounter in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared, which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1. Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2. You see what I'm saying? In most situations it works, even if it isn't technically correct.
Yeah,
so you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms? And why was Radical 6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history.
What?
There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of Point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
I shall give you your answer You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not. Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then
me.
where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking. He has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the Doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own. Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told the others, that Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
There's one thing that troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. What's going to happen to me? You telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too. You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past. Only you can save the world.
There's no way
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what happened in between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality? Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine. Remember what I've told you. Only you can change history. Only you can save the world.
End. Or beginning. Alright, guys. And save. Double check one last time. That's it. End. So, that being said, we're done. We finished it. So, plan basically, I'm probably gonna end up playing 999. We're definitely gonna play the sequel to this game. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. That was mind-blowing. The person is me. I'm the unknown controllable factor. So thank you guys for coming on by. I do appreciate it very much. It was a wonderful game. I enjoyed it very much. We're probably gonna go back to Monster Hunter for a while, and we're gonna play Monster Hunter. We're gonna play other games in between before we start 999, just because I feel 999 will be another week's worth, or maybe not even a week's, maybe like a few days worth, but I had to prepare my voice because I'm sure it doesn't have voice acting in that, so I need to figure out like what voices to need to use. I want to make it a quality stream as well, so hopefully you guys will join me for that. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys enjoyed it, put down a heart in chat. If you guys enjoyed it, just put down a heart. Let me know that you enjoyed it. But yeah, more Monster Hunter 999. We're gonna play the sequel whenever it comes out. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't really have much else to say. My mind is too blown. I can't do the thinking. So, and I do appreciate everybody. I hope you guys had a good experience, not backseating, not spoilering. I know I had a great experience. You guys were amazing during that entire game. There was very little point where I even had to worry about spoilers. Ash doing an amazing job at modding, and you guys just doing a really good job at not being those type of people to spoil, so I really do appreciate it. That being said, guys, it is time to go. I've been streaming for a total of 13 hours today. And you know, that's the usual. But it's time to go. So let us go ahead and get ready for the raid. Thank you for the follow, Synox. I do appreciate it very much. So let's get ready for a raid, everybody. So the way we do raids around here, for those of you who don't already know, I like to end my streams and send your viewership to other people to show them that we support them, and to also have the support and the love here to over there. So guys, in order to do this, we do raids. A raid consists of me going into a chat room, everybody else going into the same chat room and being really quiet, not saying a word. Don't follow, don't say anything. Well, you could say things, but I prefer you not to. And then, right when I say, this is a lazy raid, you're gonna say, this is a lazier, huh? For your copying convenience, it is right there in chat. Just copy the entire thing. Resident Sleeper. If you're on mobile, Resident, no space, Sleeper, capital R, capital S. And copy paste in chat 2 to 3 times in their chat. Let me know that you're ready by doing it right now. I am going to look for somebody to raid at this moment. So let me see who is online. I'm going to go ahead and use the Twitch. Let's see who is online to raid. Online to raid at the moment. So we have Let's see. Oh, and by the way, thank you for that follow, Sinux. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Lazy Crew. Feel free to do as the lazies do. There's one person. There's one person I see. One person. Two person. Two people I really feel like raiding. Let me see their channels. Let me see what's going on. I'm gonna open their tabs right now. Okay, let us go. We have that one. That one. I think we're gonna go over here to... Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna give y'all two choices. Do you want to see somebody very, very fetch, or do you want to see a monster? Most of you know who the people I'm referring to right now. For those of you that don't know, just vote. Somebody very fetch or monster. I said fetch, not etch. Fetch. One monster, two monster, three monster. Two fetch, monster. Alright. So we haven't raided this guy in forever. It's probably been more than a few months. A couple months, rather. So let us go give him some love. He always shows us love back. He's playing a multiplayer game right now, so he might not be able to respond to us immediately, but do stick around. He's an awesome guy. I love him very much. We're gonna go spam over there. I love you guys. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you may be. And thank you again for joining me. I do appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.